In 2019, the Central Bank of Nigeria did something that they've never done before for the very first time. They handed a fintech startup a full microfinance banking license. Not a payment service provider license, not a mobile money operator license, a full banking license. Back then, the startup that they gave it to was a 2-year-old startup that was just sitting on a few thousand users. Right now, that same startup that was given that license now has over 7 million users with 29 trillion naira processed annually through this startup. What exactly is the name of this startup? Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel. I am your favorite guy, Saamu Eleja, and today I'm going to be starting the first edition of Africa Fintech Review on my channel. Today, which is the episode 1, I'm going to be speaking and reviewing a popular fintech startup prevalent with the purple color, popularly called Kuda MFB. Let's get into it. Before I touch this app, at least let me do a bit of some backstory sharing with you so that you can be able to get the context of those that are building this product, the credibility behind their name, how exactly did everything start, and then the important things that you need to know, so that as I review this to you, and this is going to be your first time that you're going to be trying this app out, or you want to try it out some other time, you would have some level of information about these builders, so it can help you to, trust them or choose not to. It's your choice. All of this actually started in 2017, where two guys met themselves. One of them happened to be an accountant that used to work at PwC. He also used to advise the Oyo State government on finance. And in fact, he co-founded the first classified car magazine in Nigeria as far back as 2002. Meanwhile, the other person happened to be a software developer that has spent several years building and managing systems at First Bank and Standard IBTC. So the two of them came together. They, of course, they would have brainstormed and they decided to say, okay, we have seen a problem and then let us try to solve it. The names of these two people are Babs Ogundeyi and Misty Mustafa. In 2017, they came together and then they started the platform that was tagged as the Nigerian first online savings and lending platform. Back then, they used to call it Kuda Money. Now at the time, it wasn't a bank at all, it was just a digital lending product, and they didn't have the license to be able to run as a bank. But for 2 solid years, between 2017 and 2019, they tried all that they could to ensure that their bigger dreams could be achieved. And as of June 2019, everything changed. Now, Kuda did not just obtain this license from the Central Bank of Nigeria in 2019 for themselves alone, because that win that they were able to get opened up and paved ways for several other fintech brands to see possibility in being able to acquire the same and also start such products. In other words, Kuda was a trailblazer for every other fintech that exists right now. Maybe not all, but we can say that they actually were the market mover, market leader as far as getting that particular license to operate as a bank in Nigeria is concerned. And now, that was not even the most interesting part of it. From those period of time, we have always had every other traditional banks around, and Kuda got the license, and the normal thing that they were supposed to do was to possibly operate like traditional guys, but they said no. They turned around things, and then they called themselves the Bank of the Free. And back then, if you can remember, Kuda do not charge for transfer fees, right? Currently, we know that they still do not charge for some numbers of transfer, but back then when they started, they were not charging for transfer. So all you do is you get your money, you get paid into your Kuda account, you can transfer out, you can collect without any charges at all. That was how great Kuda started back then in 2019. That was very great, right? What do you think? I'm just sharing my own opinion, the way I feel like, right? Now, 3 months after launching that product with the license, by September 2019, it got $1.6 million in seed funding raised. $1.6 million in seed funding is not small. It is actually very great as far as that particular time is concerned. Even up to now, that money was not small. And lucky enough for Kuda, maybe not unluckily for the world, but lucky enough for Kuda, COVID-19 came around that period of time, and it was a necessity for people to start using digital banking, like, and start trusting them more, because you can't go to the physical commercial offices. You just have to, like, get to use product that would help you to still be able to move money around and then be able to still transact. And Kuda's number surged drastically in this period of time. And during the whole NSAS protest, Kuda was one of the startups that supported the movement, that was able to, provide some funding to help with some medical needs or some other things in the process, which also helped surge the demand for people to say, okay, we want to use these people, we can trust them, they are credible. And when it comes to what do they call this thing that they do for the society, like, yes, like when it comes to a CSR project, in a way, those funding was able to help Kuda to get more credibility in front of the public. So the numbers surged drastically and it increased so much at that point in time. Mind you, the money that Kuda raised in the first place was actually a pre-seed round. So when it came to November 2020, Kuda was able to raise the actual seed round that was worth $10 million. November 2020. Remember that they raised $1.6 million earlier in September 2019. Then the coming year and just 2 months after, they were able to raise $10 million in seed funding. And at that time, that was one of the largest African seed round ever. That was a very huge milestone for Kuda, right? By March 2021, they did another round with Valar Ventures, which was their Series A, an amount of $25 million. Kuda was already expanding massively by then. And one of the key points to note here was that the venture that was behind the funding of Series A for Kuda was actually one that included one of the early founders in PayPal, Peter Thiel. Then the big one came in 2021. By then, Kuda was already valued at $500 million, and then they raised $55 million for a company that has just existed for barely 2 years. As at that point, the total funding has risen to close to $100 million, and Kuda was processing around $2 billion per month with 1.4 million users, as at that time that Series B funding was being raised in 2021. That was very big. It's not small for a brand like Kuda. In that particular period of time, that was very crazy. And now today, Kuda has over 6 million customers in Nigeria. In 2025 alone, Kuda processed over 29 trillion naira. Their customers saved over 656 billion naira through their app. And for the overdraft product, of which I'm going to be speaking about today in this edition, over 125 billion naira was used. See, this is, if you look at it very closely, right, the growth of Kuda is something that you can typically see the way that the growth was just in an upward direction. Of course, there were challenges in the process. I will speak about some of them briefly as much as I could, touch. But Kuda has been a brand that has been existing for so long, and I believe Kuda is a brand that is worthy of what I'm going to be sharing this afternoon. So we'll be checking through the app, we'll look through what the features currently look like, and then we will see how exactly this is going to be of good use to you, how this is going to be a benefit to you. Why should you try Kuda out? Why should you possibly feel like there should be some improvement? Let's look at it together. Now, let's get to the review of the app. I've been using the Kuda app for some time. I can't remember when exactly I started it, but it's been some weeks that I've got to use the app. So for this review purpose, I'm going to be getting back to reviews the app, and then let's see what exactly the app currently has as features that you might want to also try out. You can download the app on Android App Store or the iOS App Store and to use. I do not think you can be able to use it on web version, I don't think so, but you have to download it on your phone. You have to be able to sign in and then be able to get started with the app also. In case you would want to also try it out, check the link in my bio. I will drop a link right there that you can use to download it. Of course, not that you can go through my referral link. If I'm bringing these features to you, I should be able to. I don't know if there's any cashback for it, but just try and use the link in my bio for a proper attribution. Thank you. So let's get into it. If you log into the Kuda app, one thing that I'm pretty much very clear of is that I so much like the onboarding. It is very clean from the point of having to sign in, and then I can use my Face ID to get on top of the platform. It's a very clean and very smooth process, and then the interface somehow feels like I'm trying to just write maybe a regular ABC on top of a sheet, and it's not so difficult for me to do. It was a very, very clean and easy one, and I have the option of putting a passkey, whether it is a PIN or it is my face unlock that I want to use to log in instead of the regular PIN code. So it's just somehow easy to choose an option for you to get to sign up or sign in. And when you're signing in, the regular KYC means know your customer. So the regular KYC process that you have to follow through when using the Kuda app is, you sign in, you drop your details, and then once all of those things are confirmed, you move straight up down to your dashboard, right? And in other words, there are 3 tiers of the kind of account that you can have with Kuda. So at the first point of putting in your information, it will show you your dashboard, but it will also show you the tier that you currently are, that is tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3. And from there, you can easily, on the dashboard, you can easily navigate through and then see how you can get to upgrade your tier. If I can try to remember when I was trying to get all of this done back then, it shouldn't take you up to 30 to 45 minutes. If you have all of your documents ready with you, it shouldn't take you up to or more than 30 minutes to be able to get your registration done and then be able to push yourself down to KYC 3. But they might need to review some things that might take a bit of some time, but for the whole registration process that you would need to input some things, it shouldn't take much more than that. One of the things that I will not also fail to speak about when it comes to the dashboard is it's easy for you to see some of the most basic things that you want to pick, where the card option is, where the settings here, where you can start making transfer, where your balance is, how to easily toggle your balance. Like those things are just, they're clearly justified on the page, and I so much love them for it because it tells that they created the product for the purpose of being able to make this easy for users. And right from time, as far as I can remember, it has always been like this. Of course, they've made several improvements, but with what I can see now, it is very much user friendly, Yeah, to the transfer features of Kuda that I would like to speak about. Now, let us start with one of the most popular promises that Kuda gave when they were getting started. All of the regular traditional banks, they would remove charges on SMS alerts, for VAT, for even for sending money to you. There are some of these banks, there's one of them that really frustrated me, and they're still frustrating me up to now, by the way. So when they send money to your account, then they would remove charges for some things. But when Kuda got started, the amount of money that was sent to your account is the amount that you are going to see. There's no ledger balance or anything. It's just directly your money. And then they promised some free transfer. And currently, as we speak, the feature is still right there. But right now, it is now for 25 free transfers, right? And but if you are doing the Kuda-to-Kuda transfer, it's totally free. There's no charges attached to it. But if it is other banks in a month, you get 25 free transfers before they will now start being charged 10 naira per transfer. And on top of this free transfer, most importantly, if you're using a Kuda transfer thing, I love this feature about Kuda. Of course, I've not used it that much, maybe because I need to start trying to use it much more now, but you could see clearly that you can use a username, like if you're a Kuda user and then there's a Kuda user like somewhere, you can use the username that person has created to send money to them. In case you don't remember that their account number, maybe you are the person that interacted before and be like, okay, this is username on Kuda. You can use it to quickly send money to them. If the number might be a bit difficult, somehow, like it's very fast, and then it's a way of social engineering to relate with people, send money to people by remembering what they would like to be called, maybe like in short form, maybe like Saamu, Eleja. I think that's my Kuda handle. You can see it right there, and so you can do what you just send money to me like Kuda. That's just the same idea, but then you can still send the money. I don't mind, and I believe this is one of the most amazing feature of Kuda that we need to be talking about. The free transfer, and then I'm putting the 2 under 1 feature now. Again, I'm going to say this: that transfer interface of Kuda is just very smooth, easy to search for banks, and then the banking option like already popping up around, and then the most recent banks that you've worked with, the most recent accounts that you transferred to. A lot of those things make it easy for you in case you always like to transfer to one person like repeatedly. For example, if you have a POS stand around you that you normally like withdraw through, right? It's easier for you to just click and then just quickly send your money without having to start pressing the account number from start. That's a very good one. So now let's talk about savings. One of the features that I figured out on Kuda that needs to be discussed is around their savings option. And Kuda is not just that app that wants you to use their products to transfer, get your free transfers and likes. They are also very much interested in your savings culture. you have two main savings options, and these things actually interested me when I was checking out the product. Now, on the two main savings options that you have on Kuda, the first one is called Pocket, and in this one, you create a plan. You get to fix a period of time that you want to save, whether it is daily, weekly, or monthly. You just lock the money there, and Kuda gives you as high as up to 14% of interest, and then for the period of time that are going to be leaving it there. And it's a very good option for beginning to learn savings habits. And the second option is what they call Spend+Save, or Spend+Save, any way you want to call it. And this one, it's a very clever feature, right? It's a funny feature at the same time. Many people will like this, many will also not like this. So the way it works is you use the hand to fix like a percentage of if you spend, let's say you spend 10 naira now, if you had set a percentage for your Spend+Save to be maybe 2%, or let's even say 10% of it. So once you spend that 10 naira on buying something, could automatically removes 10% from the remaining of your regular balance and then put it in your Spend+Save. So, and you won't be able to touch it, it will just be there, and it does not have any special interest. But the sweet spot here is that you can actually use this feature to really learn how to spend properly, and then to be able to calculate how much you are willing to save per time. We young people these days, it's not exactly easy for us to save because of the way the economy is extremely difficult. But yeah, it is still very much possible. And with this feature, it is a really, really good advantage of, and I think it's something that is worth exploring on the app. There's an extra feature too that is called fixed savings. For this option, fixed savings, this one you can earn up to 12% in interest over a period of time. The best advice here is to use money that you're not exactly using at that moment, or maybe for a short period of time, because this money you can earn up to 12% interest, right? But you must not withdraw the money ahead of time, because if you withdraw it prematurely, you can forfeit up to 10% of the 12% interest that you are supposed to get in the first place. So this is a really good feature. This is a nice one. This is interesting to see. It's also a discipline culture building feature on Kuda. You might want to explore it. You want to check it out. This next feature that I'm going to be mentioning is actually one that has saved many users during hard times. You might be guessing which feature I'm going to talk about already. So this is about Kuda Overdraft. Here is how Kuda Overdraft works. If you regularly use Kuda for your day-to-day transactions, or use it to collect like salary for 95 hours, or you just regularly use it to collect money on a very good scale, so Kuda considers you for an overdraft. Now, what does this overdraft actually means? This is not like a loan thing in a way. You don't exactly have to fill a new form. You don't even need a collateral requirement. They just look at how much you spend, how often you spend, and they give you a credit line, a credit amount that is somehow equivalent to how much you have been able to spend on top of the app over a period of time, right? So the amount of money that you've spent or transactions that you've done is going to determine how much credits that you're going to be having access to. That is exactly Kuda's overdraft. When your balance is low and you need some extra cash, you go to the borrow section, you click overdraft, and they get to give you credit ahead of time, and you can start spending with a daily interest of around 0.23 to 0.8 increase in amounts that you're meant to pay back. So you have the advantage of paying back quickly. You can quickly get the money, and as the day goes by, the interest increases based on those rates, depending on how much that you get to borrow. And when money comes into your account automatically, the overdraft is being paid instantly from your main balance. It's a kind of good feature that can help plenty people in a fix. And as of 2025, it was recorded that Nigerians used over 125 billion naira from Kuda's overdraft. This shows how much people actually would need things like this, and I think for that huge amount to have been utilized because of this feature, it shows many people are very much more interested in this, and more people will continuously try out the feature. I don't know if you're watching this and you've never tried Kuda Overdraft and you would need it. Do you think it's something that you would like to look out for? You might want to still check some other terms and conditions that are attached to it, but if you want to try, you can just go ahead and give it a shot. The 125 billion naira that people were able to access because of Kuda's overdraft in 2025, it's not a small number. This is actually a feature that is changing lives, or that is impacting life, because if you look at it, people cannot access some of these things easily with traditional banks, but they can through Kuda easily. Just check overdraft, pam pam pam, you have access to the money and then you can able to spend it. And some of them, because they are business people, that money even possibly might have entered into their account back in the space of 24 hours, but Kuda has actually helped them in that fix. However, there's something that I would like to flag here. Sometimes ago, I think the overdraft principle was not so transparent, but right now, I think there has been some bit of improvement. Kuda now sends users monthly statements, show minimum amount that is overdraftable, the minimum repayment amount, and a clear 30-day cycle of payment with a possible extension of 15 days. And I think this is a really good thing to let people see by the records that this is what is possible or achievable with that particular feature. Before then, there was a time where people were complaining so much about not being able to exactly calculate how their interest is increasing. It looks like there was no transparency. Could have been able to sort that right now, but there was a time that people were not able to, get that done. So if you're going to be trying this feature, it's advisable for you to DYOR and then be able to get some more information that you think is going to really help you out before you decide to say you want to go for it. Do you get? Because it's your choice eventually, but you are so just try and do some little bit of more research. And finally, this particular feature that I'm going to be talking about is about the US stocks investment on Kuda. These days we've been hearing so much about stocks. I think we've not really been speaking so much about this Kuda feature. You can actually invest directly in the US stocks from the Kuda app. You set up a trading account, you fund it with a minimum of $20, and you have access to the US stock market. All from a Nigerian banking app, and this is not something that you would regularly find in a Nigerian Fintech app, and I think it's a good option to try out. There's a time frame of when you can get to trade, based on the stock market principle, so you would see all of those on the app. This feature is still relatively new on Kuda, not new, but it's relatively still new. And there are still a number of stock options that they are still going to be adding that they possibly might still add because it's still coming up. The part that makes this interesting for me to spotlight or to highlight rather is that Kuda is trying to make their app a place for every of people's financial needs, meaning that you can get to transfer money, you can get to get some extra cash, and you can also get to earn more extra cash by trading stocks on top of the platform. I think Kuda wants to just stay on top of their platform, and it makes a lot of sense at the end of the day. It's a pretty good thing to consider. I believe Kuda is that people really need to try out. You can see from their backstory that people that are building this product, that have built this product up to this level, they are good people, they are quality people that has a lot of financial experience, and then when it comes to the technology stack, you can trust them. You've seen the feature that they've tried to build in, and then there are quite a lot more that you might want to check out on your own. But beyond that, I think we need to also look at what people's interaction with the app so far has led to, so that if there are things that Kuda can improve because of this video, they can tend to look at it and they'll be able to improve it, because I believe that some people will want to go back to using Kuda, or maybe even start using it because of this video, right? So it's normal to be able to spotlight some of these things. So let's look at some of the things that people have complained about, and then that Kuda should possibly look at and then make some improvement. The first thing will be app stability. Now, if you go to app stores and play stores lately, where you can see some reviews, you will see people saying something about the UX, about the app crashing, about some login issues, and I think Kuda really need to look into this. I personally had some of these issues some times ago where I couldn't access my account, I think for up to 12 hours or so, and it just kept logging me out. It was on my Android phone and it was just logging me out. Whenever I tried to log in, the app would close, and I think that kind of glitch should be looked into, because this is not a small US issue. It needs to be solved as much as possible, because in this part of the world, trust begins to reduce with some of these glitches. Also, customer service representation. One of the things that businesses really need to hack really fast in Africa, Kuda customer service is really good, but there is still need for several and huge scale of improvement, because people complain of slow responses, people complain of not so fast, and sometimes it feels like the premium users get access to the top tier, or they get prioritized customer interaction. And for real, I feel like that can be addressed. I feel like there can be a better way to still like let me just keep that simple. Whichever way that Kuda can consistently try to improve on their customer service, it's very much needed. Most importantly, in this age where people do not joke with money, the economy is very hard, and people need to, as much as possible, ensure that they are getting value for whichever option that they are going for, because people believe that they have multiple options. So they are choosing you or they are choosing me. They need to see that you are giving them enough reasons to stay. And customer experience is one of those things that will keep people stay. And this last one, this is on the US stock investments feature. It's a trend in recent months where people are now much more interested in the stock market. If you check Twitter, you see that people always saying, okay, I'm buying this, I'm buying that. I would highly recommend that Kuda tries to educate people more and to not just let these features be seen as a side thing, right? If you're really going to get people to utilize this feature on the app so much, it's important to treat it like it is a very huge feature. There is a lot of education around it. There's a lot of PR being driven around it, I'm a marketing person, and I believe that this can be improved upon much more than this. I mean, I'm not inside Kuda's team. I don't exactly know how they get their things done, but it's important to still share some of this perspective in a real sense, because it is what we can see on the asset that I'm going to speak on. So yeah, that's my perspective about that. So on my first African fintech review, what exactly is my final verdict on Kuda? If you're looking for a primary bank account to keep your money that won't punish you for leaving money in your own account, that won't just randomly remove charges anyhow from your own account, you might want to try Kuda out on a very simple basis. Kuda is such a good option that you might want to go for. And if you run a business, there's also Kuda Business, right? There's the regular Kuda normal Kuda account, and then there's also the Kuda Business app where you can use it to track your business sales, use it to like record the way your money is getting into your account. You can try that out. Well, maybe later, maybe if Kuda decides to sponsor this show, we can talk about Kuda Business better, but that's not there for now, right? So let's just keep that aside. But I read a number of things about this product, and I see that it still has some more promising things that is in view. And this makes Kuda lovable somehow for me. If you look at timeline, this is the 7th year after Kuda Money started. It started as Kuda Money before it became Kuda. And with over 7 million customers later, after all of this achievement, it doesn't look like the mission of Kuda has changed. The goal is to bank the African continent much better, and I believe that there are a lot of more things that Kuda will be able to get right better. However, I am I'm going to rate Kuda a 7.5/10. I strongly believe that there's still a number of space to still be improved upon to become a 10/10 product. But regardless, I give it to Kuda, and I think Kuda deserves this review. So what do you think about this review that I've done so far? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get a lot of more updates like this. This is the first edition. There are quite a number of them that are still going to come up, and this is me saying, do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to also share this with people that are fintech enthusiasts or your friends that you think they are considering the bank options that they want to use maybe as a first or second option. Don't just forget to share this, because I'm going to be telling you more about Africa fintech stories for you to learn from. I'll speak about the product, I'll speak about people behind the product, and I'll speak about some of the things that they are doing that are very much interesting for you to learn and know about. What do you think about this? I'll look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe. I am your guy, Saamu Eleja, your favorite African fintech storyteller. I will see you in the next episode. Cheers!